recent graduates get a big surprise from their cap and gown purchases.
Hey, Karen, I understand some graduates got a little bit more than their cap and gown bill on their credit cards recently.
Yeah, so I thought this was an interesting story, given that it is graduation season, and happily, actually, a lot of kids are actually graduating in person, so they need to have real cap and gown. So the cap and gown company, Herf Jones, who I had never heard of before, but evidently is one of the major cap and gown provider to hundreds of colleges and universities around the country, started hearing on social media that a lot of students, this just happened last weekend, or a week ago, was that they were getting all kinds of other charges onto their credit cards, all of them having just purchased their cap and gowns from this company, Herf Jones. So that's how they found out that there had been some kind of breach, and there's now been a kind of a social media storm of all of these recent grads and their parents, as you can imagine, who've had all these additional charges, and they've had to cancel their credit cards and call their credit card companies. And I would think actually that worries me a little bit, that all of these kids don't even watch their charges on their cards. So there may be more victims of this than they even know. Hopefully they're hearing about it now, and maybe the universities are telling the kids to look into this, just in case for the universities that in particular have been notified about this, and there have been dozens of them. And of course, the charges are anywhere from, a little something to all kinds of interesting things that have been listed on social media that I won't share about what have charges that have been ended up on these kids' credit cards. Although some of them were just like a new PS, whatever the number is, I'm going to say it, a PS2, PS5. I was like, since I'm not a user. So they were talking about that, and thousands of dollars of merchandise and all kinds of stuff. And of course, the company did apologize and did understand that they had some kind of breach and are looking to repair it, but not before hundreds of these incidents had occurred. And it's actually, I think, pretty clever, again, from the hackers, because that all of these kids are going to have to make these purchases right at the same time. So, a huge trove of new credit cards all coming in for the graduates, because it's kind of one of these one-time purchases. You only make you only buy your cap and gown once, presumably. So I thought that was kind of an interesting and timely story.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing I thought was interesting in reading through the story was that the company really found out about this because, like, on social media, Twitter or whatever, these people start complaining about, I'm getting these fraudulent charges. And then somebody connected all the dots and said, hey, these are all students. And they're all students who recently bought, from this company. So that's where, kind of, put it all together as to the root cause of the problem there. And then I kind of wonder if the bad actors here who whatever breached the data, I'm suspecting that they probably sold off a lot of these credit cards in a marketplace, some black market, underground marketplace and credit cards, and then people just started using them like crazy on stuff. So, it's interesting how, I guess not interesting, but there's so much criminal behavior around like cybersecurity. It just makes me crazy sometimes, like trying to keep up with it all. Because every time you think you have it figured out, you just hear about another situation like this. And then the other thing I was thinking about as well, like you said, a lot of teenagers or college age kids, they might not be paying attention to their charges very much, but they might be actually, because I think a lot of the kids nowadays are a lot more savvy with technology than older adults are. And, I know on my accounts, I have it set up so if you charge anything like even more than like $2 on any of my credit cards, it sends me a text message immediately, of you just got, a charge on your card for this amount. So, I find that to be a really good way because I'm going to use my credit card all the time. But I like to know if I get a text message and I don't, recognize it because I'm not in a store, I'm not doing anything, then I know something's up. So I think that's a really good way for people to know. And a lot of the various credit card providers have apps as well. So if you don't want to use text message, you can have the app running on your phone, and it'll do a push notification to you as well. So I know American Express and some of the other ones do that as well. So that's another way to keep on top of the charges that are being put against your account.
Absolutely. Right. All of those good things. And it is interesting that it was all through social media that they figured it out. It wasn't that somebody figured it out, that they realized that they had a breach. They were completely clueless that this had occurred. So again, no warning signs from them. But I do think that using all of those mechanisms that you talked about and alerts and hopefully kids, now that this has happened, they will do that. But, of course, right when they're graduating, they're all having to change out their credit cards and do all kinds of things. And it's just a little bit of a stain on otherwise what's supposed to be just a happy, joyful day for all these families. And really, it's, for me, I was thinking, last year, all the kids who couldn't buy cap and gowns said if they were thinking about this last year, nobody was doing that. So it's just nice to hear that after this long period of time that, there's a lot of people buying cap and gowns again. So that's good.
Right. A little return to normalcy. Although some bad actors took advantage of the situation here. So.
Exactly.